We have been feeling the effects of Tropical Storm Beryl nearly 7 hours now. But this is what we're seeing right now, with the worst of the storm only beginning.
Hello, everyone. We continue our around-the-clock coverage tracking Tropical Storm Beryl.
The local station has declared a Weather Authority alert day for the rest of this evening and for tomorrow.
We are tracking the storm from our coastline and from the Weather Center. We begin with Weather Authority Chief Meteorologist John Gahn, who has the very latest on Beryl's path.
We just talked to the fire marshal, who's been going around to all the bridges and monitoring them with those little wind meters, and he said he got up to 64 miles per hour.
And there's more coming, as Tarek will tell you.
Yeah, Tarek's joining us live from Jacksonville Beach right now. Oh, Tarek, you're in the heart of some sort of rain band there.
Yeah, down here on the beaches, you know, it's that sideways rain, and you're getting pelted with the sideways sand, and you know, it's a pretty substantial wind gusts out here this morning as Tropical Storm Beryl gets away from us.
We are watching and waiting to see what unpredictable Tropical Storm Debbie will do next. The Florida Panhandle is the new destination for the young season's fourth tropical storm. And we're tracking Debbie from all angles tonight. We are live at our local office of the National Weather Service, but we begin with Chief Meteorologist John Gahn with the latest update from 8 o'clock. John?
We are going to see more rain later today, so we've declared today a Weather Authority alert day. Here's a look out of our beach cam right now. 17 counties in our area are under weather alerts for flooding and tornadoes.
Also, check JEA's website. About 400 customers without power. The Red Cross opened shelters in Tallahassee and Panama City last night,
where some homes became waterfront property. Some yards, as you can see, are just now ponds. The drive-through lane at a Stark fast food restaurant nearly became a row-through lane as water rose in the parking lot.
The flooding is coming from Alligator Creek, which runs through a good part of Stark. It began rising last night and early this morning.
Rain has pounded Stark without remorse, to the point where flooded locals are begging for mercy.
Have you ever had flooding before?
No, not this bad. This is pretty bad. Not since I've been here. Been here 8 years.
We started up way up by that stop sign, and we have slowly watched the river as it's flooded into the street, pushing everybody back, telephone pole by telephone pole. We're now 3 telephone poles away from where we started today. And all day we've watched people try and get out of their homes, first by cars, with cars towing other cars, and then by boat. Because at this point, late Tuesday in Baker County, it is impossible to get a car through this part of the St. Mary's River near the Florida-Georgia line.
The Yam and Holland family says they started packing everything up inside their home around 9 o'clock this morning because of the rising waters. You can take a look over here. This is their porch area that is almost completely submerged here. You can also see over my shoulder that this was their camper. They are afraid that 25 years worth of memories are now gone. We're told that an administrator was released yesterday, was fired, and he came back and retaliated. I'm told that 2 people are dead.
I had an opportunity to speak to a mother who says she has 2 children that attend school here. She said, fortunately, one of them had a cell phone, was able to text her, let her know that she was okay, but she was very frightened, unsure of what was going on.
What you have to remember, and that's why we're having this congestion here right now, is when a parent or a loved one or a person who has a loved one here at the school hear of an incident such as this happening, immediately they go into panic mode.
Good evening, everyone. Multiple gunshots destroy the afternoon calm on the Southside campus of Episcopal School of Jacksonville, and right now police are still investigating.
We are told this fired Spanish teacher, 28-year-old Shane Schumerth, gunned down the school's top administrator with an assault rifle and then killed himself. We've had several reporters at the school since right after the news broke at around 1:30. They've been talking to investigators as well as to parents, teachers, and students.
That breaking news alert will come from this room. You're looking live inside the state attorney's office, where an hour from now, Angela Corey will hold a news conference on the shooting death of Trayvon Martin.
Channel 4's Emily Turner begins our coverage now from downtown Jacksonville. Emily?
Good evening, Mary. I can tell you, having been down here all day, that the anticipation has slowly built as the hours have gotten later and later.
Channel 4's Scott Johnson continues our coverage. He's live in Sanford right now. Scott?
You know, I've been trying to gauge how much security concerns they have here in Sanford. I'm at City Hall since I got here. Much different than what Emily just showed you.
Joining us now is our crime analyst, Ken Jefferson. Ken, do you ever remember a state attorney announcing that a news conference would be held sometime within 72 hours at a location to be revealed at a later time? This is so unusual.
Today, we filed an information charging George Zimmerman with murder in the second degree. A capias has been issued for his arrest.
Police were unable to tell us what caused this worker to fall off the bridge and go into the water. Investigators told us just a short while ago that there were 3 workers in total working on the bridge, and you can see actually a train crossing the bridge right now live here from underneath the Fuller Warren. That's our vantage point from where we are. 3 workers, one of them falls off. The bridge is being renovated, and that's what they were working on this afternoon.
Tom, Merriman, hop out of the way so you can see exactly what we're dealing with right here. This is the street or the neighborhood right there where it happened, a part of Julington Creek. Back down there is the home of a family. Inside, a family member, we are told, went to the home and discovered the bodies of a mother and her 2 children.
The president was smiling and welcoming as I visited him in the cabinet room. I came with questions about subjects important to Jacksonville, including economic growth. The report that you released today, what is it that you want the American people to know about the progress that you believe you've made?
Well, the good news is that in rural America, we're starting to see terrific progress on a number of fronts.
You're looking live at Mitt Romney's plane at Jacksonville Airport, where the Republican presidential nominee has just landed to continue the latest Romney campaign swing through our city.
Governor Romney did stepping off the plane and heading out on an SUV for the night after a lot of traveling around the country today. Our cameras were here rolling just a few minutes ago as Governor Romney stepped off his campaign plane and making his way for tomorrow's events in the River City.
From Channel 4, the local station, this is an Election 2012 special, the Florida primary.
Weeks and weeks of campaigning all come down to this. Florida voters have now had their say, deciding a long list of local and state primary races. From a bitter battle for a state Senate seat to an open seat in Congress, Republicans and Democrats are making their choices for November.
Hello, everyone. The polls have been closed for 2 hours, and the most publicized local contest of this primary is over. Aaron Bean easily defeating Mike Weinstein.
We will continue to scroll the results of all the races on the ballot on the bottom of your TV screen. We also have them on news4jax.com. We have a crew of reporters covering tonight's Election 2012 stories from every angle. We'll be hearing from all of them in this hour-long broadcast.
From Channel 4, the local station, tonight's special coverage, Election Night 2012. Your vote counts.
Good evening, everyone. The candidates have made their final pitches. Now they're waiting to see if it was enough to earn the title of President of the United States.
We will be with you until all the votes have been counted, keeping you up to date on everything you want to know about Election 2012.
Good evening, Tom and Mary. We expect it to be a long night, and we kind of expected to get some of the states called already. Bruce, we've got them tallying up here throughout the evening. I'll be doing it the good old-fashioned way with a whiteboard and a black marker. Right now, as you can see, the state of Vermont has been called in favor of Barack Obama, so he's got 3 electoral votes.
Scott Johnson is with the Democrats at Havana Jack's, a restaurant in St. Nicholas, and Kent Justice is with the Republicans at the Marriott on the south side.
This is the canvassing board back here. This is where they're going over the absentee ballots that have been sent in. They're making sure that the signatures match.
Now you're taking a live look at our Election Return Center in the Channel 4 newsroom. We've been breaking down the numbers in the presidential race tonight to see how different parts of Florida are voting. And Jen is joining us from the Election 2012 Center with a look for us. Jen?
And Palm Beach County, Barack Obama 59, over 41%. This looks like it's over because you've got 98% of the precincts that are reporting right now.
If President Obama didn't win Ohio, the race for the White House would move out west to Colorado.
From Bonita Springs at the election headquarters for Connie Mack, he's expected here within the next 10 minutes to make his official concession speech.
They're definitely watching these numbers here behind me. You can hear some cheers going on, and you hear cheers sort of during different events which have happened throughout the night.
Supporters are here waiting for the long night ahead.
What's going on here in Florida?
Governor Romney has 1.7 million followers. Of course, fairly new to the game in terms of Twitter. President Obama, who started on Twitter before 2008, 22 million followers.
Clerk of the Courts Jim Fuller will be leaving office at the end of the year, and now it appears 35 of his top employees will be leaving with more cash in their pockets. We obtained this memorandum today. It's from Fuller to the head of Human Resources. It says to issue a one-time lump sum compensation for willing to go above and beyond their duties. The memo had these 35 names attached, and they are appointed staff, and it lists the amount of extra compensation they will receive, ranging from $219 to $8,000.
Channel 4's Jim Pickett uncovered these new compensations on Friday, and since then it has set off a massive number of complaints, as you might imagine, including complaints from one city council member. Jim's joining us now live from the courthouse. And Jim, I know you spoke with Councilman John Crusham-Benny today, who says that he's determined to reclaim some of that money?
Well, he's going to try. We came up here to the courthouse today trying to get answers, and Crusham-Benny is trying to get those same answers as well. He says he's going to try to stop those bonuses. Oh, he really can't stop the bonuses, but he can stop the money that's coming from City Hall to the courthouse. That's his big concern.
Penny LaBelle's put $100 from her paycheck every 2 weeks into a flexible spending account to pay for medical bills and prescriptions. But recently her benefits card hasn't worked, so all that money has to come out of her pocket.
I've just had to go without a lot of medicine because of it.
She's just one of about 1,500 city employees with the same problem. Some having their benefits cards not working. Others, like Josh Askew, seeing their reimbursement checks bounce. Over the past couple of weeks, I've tried again and again to talk to someone who works with EBS Atlanta. I've called them over and over, but have never gotten an answer. So I drove the nearly 400 miles from Jacksonville to Alpharetta, Georgia, which is just north of Atlanta, to try and get just that, an answer.
In the past 4 months, these 4 Duval County teachers have been arrested, accused of having sex with students. In each case, the students kept the relationship secret for months. Jennifer Waugh went out and talked to a local prosecutor who is an expert and who has some answers for parents about how pedophiles manipulate their young victims.
It is such important information. You know, Alan Mizrahi has been the division chief of sex crimes and child abuse for the state attorney's office here in Duval County for 13 years. He has heard just about every excuse a pedophile will give as to why they did what they did, and he's talked to countless children about why they didn't tell.
A 23-year-old English teacher at Atlantic Coast High School is facing charges of having a sexual relationship with a student.
An elementary school teacher still locked up in jail has seen his last days inside a classroom. The Duval County School Board voted tonight to part ways with Michael Worrell. He's accused of having sex with 3 children.
News that is especially disturbing. One Duval County teacher after another making headlines, accused of having sex with students. Alan Mizrahi is prosecuting all of them. He can't talk about ongoing cases, but says there are specific warning signs something is wrong with a student's relationship with their teacher. Mizrahi says most students who are abused by a teacher are between 12 and 17 years old, and that there's a certain type of student most likely to be targeted.
If it happens to my daughter, then it can happen to yours.
Taisha Sanders doesn't want to show her face, but she does want to keep what happened to her family from happening to another.
I really didn't want that to happen to my baby.
The tears are for her daughter, whose life took a dramatic turn nearly a year ago. It happened after Sanders dropped her off at daycare. She watched as her little girl ran toward the slide and a group of children.
I lifted up my head and I seen her put something in her mouth, and I was like, get that out your mouth. And some say, get up and go over there and see what she had in her mouth. And that's when I found out that she had a condom in her mouth.
After grabbing her daughter from the slide area, Taisha then ran over here to wash her daughter's mouth out with some water. She then called the Centers for Disease Control and then took her daughter over to Baptist Medical Center, where she not only had her daughter checked out, but also had that condom tested. Medical records provided to us by Sanders' attorney show doctors put the little girl through a series of invasive tests, including rectum, vaginal, and throat exams. Tests done every 4 months so doctors can rule out the possibility of HIV and other diseases that sometimes take up to a year to show up.
After moving out in May, no one expected to be spending the first week of June moving back in. Channel 4 got a chance to go inside the old courthouse, which has been closed for weeks. We saw a couple of city workers in hallways. We're told they spent the day assessing what exactly needs to be moved back in.
All of these people sitting in this meeting today had the same question. What happened, and how did the city get into the mess of moving into a building without it passing inspection? We've been asking that for 2 weeks now. The one answer we get is that they had a special permit for the move, and the city assumed it would pass fire inspection.
We were just told to pack our boxes and move, so that's what we did.
The problems at the courthouse are having a big impact on many people, like this man, Jimmy Wall. He was hoping to have a court case come to an end, but the fact that the court is delayed is pushing that back. His mentally disabled son was beaten by 2 men last year. One of the men was supposed to be sentenced this week. It's not just people looking for justice that are feeling the delays. There are those who need to get legal documents approved.
Admonished to draw nigh, give attention, ye shall be heard.
This hearing is for the adoption of this little boy. The judges, the family, and all of those on hand thought it would be appropriate that it would be the first case in the new courthouse.
Yes, well, of course, start the courthouse right with such a blessing of an event.
You're looking live at Everbank Field, all lit up for a Thursday night football showdown between 2 AFC South rivals, 2 teams, each beginning a new era. The Indianapolis Colts in town to take on the hometown Jaguars.
And that means tailgating after dark. Fans filling the parking lots around the stadium, firing up the grills, enjoying, those pregame festivities and rituals, as you can see right there. We'll be checking back throughout the night to see how fans are getting ready before tonight's primetime matchup.
Good evening, everyone. Tom Wills with Mary Bear. We're coming to you live from the baseball grounds of Jacksonville. Everbank Field and the Greater Jacksonville Fair are right behind us. There is a festive feeling in the air right now. Scott Johnson is with the tailgaters right now. He went to last Sunday's game here at the stadium to conduct a kind of unscientific survey.
Right. Scott, do you get the idea that the paying customers are really all in like Shad Khan wants them to be?
You really are much more optimistic about the Jaguars than many other reporters who cover the team. Why is that, Sam?
Tom, I've obviously covered the team since its inception, and certainly this team as well, but this team has much more talent than it's shown, but he knows this team has got to perform better in the second half for everybody's benefit.
We've shown that pretty consistently that, we've got to play really our best game right now.
Versus the Bite, a Georgia-Florida special.
Hey everybody, we're live on the South Bank, our own little tailgate party. Well, it's not so little, actually, as we celebrate Georgia-Florida week here once again in Jacksonville, Florida, as the 2 teams will meet with an opportunity to represent the SEC East on the line, some bragging rights for the whole year, and obviously just a big party as it has been for, it seems like, forever.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our weekly Football Friday on 4. Sam Kavaris here on the South Bank as we are looking at football games with 2 stars, in fact, national stars, in the state on the north end of North Florida. But our game of the week takes us kind of to the southwest end of North Florida. Menendez traveled from St. Johns County over to Middleburg. Take on the Broncos tonight.
From Channel 4 News. Today, the local station recognizes local teams for being extraordinary on the field and off the field.
Let me introduce you to the Creekside Shining Knights. Miss Moss's 6th period class on Wednesday and Fridays at Creekside High looks like any other activities class. Student working on their school pride, getting ready for the big game. Classmates helping each other, learning the routines, and getting into the spirit. While the class is all that, it's actually much more.
We already had a program for these children, and I didn't like that they were going and cheering for other high schools, and I thought, well, they should cheer for Creekside, and then that's how it happened.
Come on over to our station in the South Bank at 4 Broadcast Place.
When you arrive, you'll have help from our staff and members from the Air National Guard.
We spoke to one woman who says she was almost a victim of identity theft. That's why she came here today to shred her documents.
We've been waiting about 10, 15 minutes.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
Okay, great.
It's
How long?
worth the wait.
How long have you been waiting to bring in these papers, though?
About 10, 15 years.
Well worth the wait. That was the chorus heard throughout this Shredder Day. And keeping things moving were members of the Florida National Guard, Republic Services, and Channel 4 employees.
The lines were long most of the day, a record number of people taking advantage of the giant shredder being offered. Some people wait all year to unload their documents that could be a treasure trove for identity thieves. More than 800 people learned more about their health today.
They attended our annual Take It to Heart screenings in both Duval and Clay counties. Melanie Lawson is joining us now live from our Take It to Heart phone bank, and that's where doctors from Baker Gilmore Cardiovascular Institute are standing by to answer your calls.
And you know, when you think of the First Coast School Expo, you're thinking schools, a traditional classroom setting, but there are going to be schools here that offer career training, like Roadmaster's Driver's School. It's a 3-week program that trains truck drivers. At Roadmaster, students take hands-on driving classes to prepare for the commercial driver's license exam. And now if you're looking for that new career path, this could be a great opportunity for you to come out and speak face-to-face with a representative, find out what's affordable and what might be the right fit for you. And again, here at the Expo, there are schools for children, adults, people of all ages. So this is going to be a great opportunity for you to come out and speak to someone about what's in your future.
This Channel 4 Toy Drive update is brought to you by Nimnick Family of Dealerships.
We are here in front of the Channel 4 studios where a lot of people are coming out and giving out toys here for the Children's Christmas Party of Jacksonville. And not only do we have a lot of people coming by making donations, we also have a very special guest in the house. It is Santa.
Tonight, an incredible story of survival.
And then all of a sudden we just saw like one huge wave that actually came over the top end of the motor.
3 fishermen thrown into the sea.
I'm in hysterics.
No way to call for help, no land in sight. Their fears.
You got sharks, you got barracudas.
Their family.
We may have slept an hour. I don't remember sleeping.
The desperate search to find them.
We didn't have much information to go on at all.
A survival story so powerful, we're dedicating an entire hour. Lost at Sea starts now. For 50 years, George Winterling has brought you your weather forecast and helped keep you and your family safe. He's made a difference in our community for children and adults alike. Over his historic career, he's touched your lives and ours. We salute and pay tribute to our friend. Join us as George Winterling celebrates 50 years. Live from Channel 4, the local station, this is a special edition of The Morning Show on location in St. Augustine for the first day of summer. From Channel 4, the local station, live coverage of Jacksonville's Fireworks Spectacular. Now, from the South Bank, here are Tom Wills and Mary Bear.
Jobs and the economy. Is there an answer at local airports and on the docks? Big plans and big moves from Mayport to Cecil Field, trying to change the landscape and those awful unemployment numbers. And while numbers like a budget deficit are at the heart of a conflict with City Hall, the police union says it's real people who are hurting because of this. Today we hear from the Fraternal Order of Police and get a response from the city on This Week in Jacksonville.
I've never written anything before in my life.
But now, this retired Navy man has written the book of his life.
It was hard to do, but it was also therapeutic, very therapeutic. And just like she said, one day it will help you.
She was Brendan Hoffman's daughter, Dawn, his spunky sidekick, whose life suddenly took an about-face at 28 when she was diagnosed with malignant melanoma, a cancer that's curable if caught early. Hers was not.
One of Dawn's things was don't sugarcoat nothing. You tell me the facts now. Don't sugarcoat nothing. And he flat out came out and said that we found 8 tumors on your brain, and you have 6 months to a year to live. And all of a sudden, she stepped back, she put her hands on my arms, and she says, "Daddy, I am so sorry. I know how much you love me, and I know this will break your heart."
He was stunned. His daughter just found out she's terminal, and her first concern is for her dad.
I'm leaving this earth a lot earlier than I had planned. And she says, "You know I'm going to heaven." I said, "Yes, I do." And she goes, "You know, one day we can be together again." I said to her, "What do you mean we can? We will." She says, "Not if you don't bring God back into your heart."
He had strayed from the church, and God had taken a back seat to all the busyness in his world. His little girl opened his eyes. When she passed, he sat up, writing, most of it in the wee hours of the morning, upstairs in his Ohio State Buckeye man cave.
I made a promise to Dawn, if that book can help one parent relieve some of their pain, it was worth it.
I consider it a miracle. I really do.
9-year-old Bo the Beagle has a sore neck now. He hurt it while chasing a cat. Typical Beagle move. His owner hasn't heard him bark since. Not typical for a Beagle. But when Bo first came here to Brentwood Animal Clinic, he was 5 and had a herniated disc.
He was paralyzed. He couldn't move. He was in a great deal of pain.
Sherry McKinnon calls acupuncture a miracle cure. The needles Dr. Philip Heitman places in her hound dog's skin make his tail wag once again. Dr. Heitman says the owner credits acupuncture treatments for keeping this somewhat curmudgeonly cat comfortable all these years.
We have now acupunctured for the hips and the lower back.
Good dog. Dr. Heitman says so many of his 4-legged patients do so well with this. He winds up treating their owners, too.
If you want to buy some Twinkies here in town, you may be out of luck, but you can score some on eBay. But for a price, $8,000 for 1 box of 10 Twinkies. So we decided to go on a mission, find the last surviving Twinkies. Twinkies are now a rare commodity. We searched high and low for the snack. Most store shelves were completely clear of Hostess products. We went all over Jacksonville hunting for the tasty cream-filled golden sponge cakes. But it wasn't easy. After my travels searching for the prize, I felt down on my luck. What's a reporter to do? How can I come back a failure? But then our luck turned around. Look, it's Hostess! Right off of Beach Boulevard, the Hostess store. Could they still have a few remaining Twinkies? I think I see them. Let's go. Oh my gosh, I found them. After purchasing the last Twinkies at the Hostess store, I met a big fan of the snack. He was even representing a Save the Twinkies t-shirt.
Twinkies have always been important to me because I always had them in my lunchbox growing up. So I grew up with the Twinkie, and now it's kind of, I don't know what to think. It's kind of gone.
Will D'Etheridge has been on a mission just like us and hasn't been able to find them anywhere.
Well, we've been to a couple of other grocery stores, and it seems like they've just flown off the shelves.
D'Etheridge says he would consider spending a little more on eBay for his favorite childhood snack.
I wouldn't go over $10 for a Twinkie. If I was dying for a Twinkie, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
But when I told him how much they were going for,
that would be too rich for my blood. I would say more power to. That would be like. That can go to the royalty. The royalty can have the Twinkie now.
D'Etheridge also says it'll be sad for kids who grow up without ever knowing the taste of a Twinkie.
We'll never be able to explain to them exactly what it tastes like because I'm not sure you can explain it.
Twinkies still may have a chance of survival depending on what happens in the court system. From the South Bank, Ashley Mitchum, Channel 4, the local station.
You're watching Channel 4, the local station, home of News4Jax.com. Channel 4 News starts now.
Summer Thompson, a 7-year-old kidnapped and murdered. Her twin brother takes the stand and lashes out at his sister's murderer, Jared Harrell.
This is Summer's twin, by the way, Jared. You should look up here and address us since you murdered her.
Jared?
He won't look at you, just a coward.
did this. We have evidence. She trusted you. But you had to do what you did. And look where it got you. And now you're going to jail.
26-year-old Jared Harrell is going to Florida State Prison for the rest of his life. Good evening, everyone.
Before Harrell was sentenced, members of Summer Thompson's family, one by one, told him about the unspeakable pain and heartache that he has caused with his crimes.
The only words Harrell spoke were, "Yes, sir," over and over, as he told a judge he is pleading guilty to kidnapping, raping, and killing the Orange Park schoolgirl. Now he will die in prison. Our reporters are covering every angle of Harrell's last day in court. We begin with Jennifer Waugh, who is joining us live from the Clay County Courthouse with new information. Jen.
I'll tell you, 835 days ago, a little girl did what thousands of others around our county and here in Clay County do. She walked home from school. What happened in the minutes after she got separated from her brother and her sister is something that has touched all of us. And of course, has broken the hearts of many, specifically Dina Thompson and her entire family there today. You know, we have seen Dina this last 2.5 years in different sort of phases of this terrible grief that she's gone through. We have seen her emotional at the point where she can't even stand. We have seen her feisty, wanting to fight sexual predators, trying to change laws. Today, we saw a Dina that, I'll be honest, I have not seen a whole lot of in these last 2.5 years. A Dina who was angry and a Dina Thompson who was determined. She clearly did not want this man to see her cry.
I would never wish this on my worst enemy, but you, my monster, I would make a special exception for. No one should be subjected to inhumane treatment. But if one commits an unspeakable, inhumane act, one is not humane and therefore not entitled to humane treatment. The court has seen fit to hand out the humane portion of your punishment. Is it enough? I don't think so. Punishment should fit the crime. There is no need to detail your crimes here, since I don't want to entertain you with the pain that your selfish acts have put on so many people.
And you know, something that certainly upsets so many sitting in court, hearing some of the details about, specifically about what happened to Summer, and really the fact that Dina even made the point, you do this to my daughter and then you throw her away like she's trash. Can you imagine? A little girl, a little 7-year-old. And at the end of Dina's statement today that she made to Jared Harrell, I know she said to the bailiff, she said to the judge, okay, now you can take this trash out of the courtroom. She was very angry and very upset, and who can blame her, certainly. Now, one of the things I think that we have all asked ourselves, those of us who have have children, those of us who have grandchildren or nieces or nephews, we've always talked to our children about stranger danger as an example. And one of the things that I have always asked, and Dina has asked herself this last 2.5 years, is how did it happen? Why did Summer go to that house? How did Jared Harrell get her into the home? I had a very candid conversation with Sheriff Rick Beasler, and he's answering some of those questions for us. But first, I want to share with you a little bit more of Samuel Thompson, Summer's twin, came in during the news conference after the court proceedings. He wanted to talk. He wanted to speak to all of us. And it was very interesting because it was really the very first time that any of us had ever heard from him what happened that day when he and his sister got separated.
She was fighting with some kids, and somebody insulted her, so she got sad. She started running, and everybody was picking her. So
9-year-old Samuel Thompson recounting the last time he saw his sister alive.
I'm by Miss Sheila, which is the crossing guard, and I asked her, have you seen Summer? And she said no. And then we go home and tell our babysitter, and she calls Mom and says, your daughter hasn't been seen since the end of school.
Now for the first time we're learning, Summer went to this house looking for a white dog she had seen walking to and from school so many days, perhaps to cheer her up. Sheriff Rick Beasler now telling us Harrell saw her and told Summer the dog was inside, and that's how he got her into the house, where, according to newly released court documents, he undressed her on his bed and raped her, strangling the little girl and then putting her body in a large cooler, driving it to a dumpster behind a business where he worked in Fleming Island. Samuel has been shielded from those details, but offered this 9-year-old explanation as to how he thinks Jared Harrell tricked his twin sister.
And what I think he did is, I think he was trying to be nice at first, because after running so far, she could have got tired. Maybe he gave her some water or something.
And Samuel really pointing out that, his sister was sweet. She was friendly. She was nice. She was talkative. And all of us, knowing through Dina and the stories that we've heard about Summer, we can see that happening. I mean, most 7-year-olds are trusting, aren't they? And that's very likely now, hearing that it was a dog that was used to trick her and get her into that home. It certainly just breaks your heart to think that that's how this happened. Now, a lot of questions, the news conference that came after the court hearing itself, a lot of questions directed to Angela Corey, the prosecutor, specifically, and also Sheriff Rick Beasler, about why not the death penalty. In fact, one person asked, of all cases that warranted the death penalty, you would think it would be this one. Jim Piggott attended that news conference and has more on that part of this story. Jim?
Lots of people are wondering that, Jen. Why wouldn't they go for the death penalty in this case? Well, Angela Corey said that they had this plea deal, that they've been working on it for several weeks now. She said there was no way that they would accept this if take the death penalty off the table unless there was no chance of parole, no chance of anything like that at all, that he would spend the rest of his life in jail. That's when she said she began to think about that, and that's why they accepted this deal. Here's what she said about that.
And in the final analysis, this was the right thing to do.
State Attorney Angela Corey says she has no doubt the evidence in this case and the confession from Jared Harrell were all strong enough that they could have won this case and the death penalty. But she says this plea deal is a better win for the family. It's final, with no chance of parole, no chance of appeal. She says it's over.
It is not perfect justice for Summer, but it is sure justice. Now, this beautiful family can try to start healing. They may never heal from the wounds that Jared Harrell inflicted on their family by killing Summer. But what they can do is put the focus back on Summer and Summer alone.
For the countless hours people put in on this case, from the search for the little girl, the discovery of her body at the landfill, and the police work to track down Jared Harrell as the killer and link him to the crime, the sheriff says this is a much better way to end this case because the focus now is on Summer and not appeal after appeal.
More people die on death row of old age than they do from lethal injection. And what happens with the death penalty case is, starting today, and there are appeals ad infinitum from all sorts of organizations. And what happens is, for years and years, that goes on, and the defendant is the focus of all of those appeals.
Angela Corey said that if the family didn't want this, she would have gone right ahead and gone for the death penalty in this. But the family agreed to this, and that's important. Why Dana wasn't there at the news conference, she's going to speak later. Her mother and her father were there, and they said that they agree with the way this outcome, how it ended here. They're just glad that this is over. Jen?
Thank you, Jim. And that was certainly the point that was definitely echoed to us today, is that this is now over. No one ever has to think about Jared Harrell again, is what the sheriff specifically actually also pointed out later on in the news conference. Now, I want to take you to where this all started, to the neighborhood where Summer grew up, to the neighborhood where her mother still lives, as well as her brother and her brothers and her sisters, to a neighborhood that, if you'll remember, rallied around Dina Thompson and the family when Summer disappeared. They grabbed the flyers, they were out with their flashlights, they were searching to try to bring Summer home. A neighborhood that, I should point out also, has continued to rally around Dina Thompson. Emily Turner was there last night. She's there again, joining us now with more on what's happening in the neighborhood and how they're reacting to this news today. Emily.
Jen, it's so hard to convey without being here, but think about how many times you or I or someone at home has seen a story like this. that you've looked at it and you've thought, oh, that's horrible, but that would never happen in my neighborhood. Well, that's what the folks at this neighborhood thought. I mean, look at this. This isn't a place where you would necessarily think something like this would happen, and yet it did. And because of that, they're reacting so strongly.
Last summer.
Sorry.
Bless the heart.
You'll understand Jeff Norris's reaction when you realize he's lived across the street from Summer her whole life. He watched her grow up, searched for her when she went missing, and mourned for her when she was found dead in a Georgia landfill. Today was the final step in the legal process of justice for Summer. But for Norris, it will never be over.
Knowing what Dina's been through, what this has put her through, what this has put the entire family through, I mean, it broke my heart for her, because it's not justice.
He's not alone in that sentiment. Most of the folks who live in this Orange Park neighborhood think Jared Harrell should have faced the death penalty. None of them wants the family to suffer any more than they already have. But people like Sandra Dodds say they did want to see Harrell suffer.
I don't think it was the right thing. I mean, he didn't give Summer a chance. She didn't have a choice.
So she's hanging purple and white ribbons to show her support for the family in this way. Purple because it's Summer's favorite color, and white, Dot has added, because Summer is an angel now.
I'm not the judge. I'm just a parent, and I can just imagine what she's feeling like.
And I think that's the sentiment a lot of these folks have, and that is why, if you'll look at Summer's home, there is a yard full of cars. Folks who came here, they're here to support Dina, to support Summer's siblings, to show their support for everything that's happened, and to say, hey, if you ever need anything, we're here for you. Reporting from Summer's neighborhood, Emily Turner, Channel 4, the local station. Jen?
Emily, thank you. And I know that a representative, in fact, Dina's attorney attended the news conference today. We kind of thought that Dina would be there. Clearly she was not, and that's because the attorney said she is just so upset. This has been so emotional for her that she just needs a couple of days to digest everything and try to kind of move forward, but that she does want to talk to everyone. Because remember, her mission has in the last year, in fact, her mission has really been now to spreading the word about sexual predators, strengthening laws, doing everything she can to prevent any other children from becoming victims. And I do want to make sure that we do point out, obviously, the sentence and Summer and her murder, extremely it's just paramount in today's activities. But there was also another victim here, a little girl, a 3-year-old. In fact, it was Jared Harrell's niece, and he is going away. He received a life sentence specifically for molesting her. So this, and I point that out because something that was pointed out by everyone today is that this was a terrible man who did terrible things to not just one, but 2 little girls. A terrible man who will now no longer ever be out, never ever be out in this community again, and he will spend the rest of his life and die in prison. Tom and Mary?
Jen, was there anybody in the courtroom for Jared Harrell? Was his mother, Annis Daly, there?
No, not a soul. No one. In fact, go ahead.
Did he ever look up and look at any of the Summer Thompson family on the stand at all?
I can't believe it, Tom. No.
Huh.
Never. Always looked down, sort of fidgeted, no sign of emotion whatsoever, made a point of never looking at the crowd, never looking at the cameras, the people who were sitting, never, ever looked up, never showed that he had any bit of remorse whatsoever or sympathy for anything that was said to him in the courtroom today. Nothing.
You know, and Jen, it was just so incredibly powerful to watch the family, and your heart just aches for them. You know, from little Samuel to the grandma and the grandpa. I mean, they said just incredible things. What was the grandfather said? I cannot forgive you for your actions. I am not that good a person. I mean,
it was so difficult to be there. I think that part of it is because I have worked closely with, you know, on this story for so long. You really can identify with everybody who's sitting there. I mean, Abby was there, of course, Samuel's older sister, so many family members there. And, you know, they made a very important point. 2 police officers actually, for very specific, sheriff's deputies said, look, there can be no outburst whatsoever anything, you're going to be asked to leave. And there were people who were really holding in the emotion and the tears and the sobbing, and it was very, very difficult considering everything that you heard and everyone watching Jared Harrell and him showing absolutely no remorse for what he did.
Janet, listening to Dina Thompson on the stand today, she clearly has had a very unwelcome, unwanted education on predators. When she told Harrell that her daughter and children are not other people's toys, and that when she said she did not want, in effect saying the trial might have caused him, in a sick, perverted way, some kind of pleasure. So she didn't want him to sit in the courtroom and be allowed to hear an account of what it is that he did. The difficult process that she must have gone through to reach this decision, because we all know without her agreement there would not have been a plea deal.
And, you know, it's interesting because when we talked to her father at the news conference, I asked him, I said, how difficult was this? How involved was she in this decision with Angela Corey and Steve Nelson, the prosecutor? I mean, how did this? And he said, they called us in, we were in the office, and she just felt so uncomfortable considering how much one would imagine that she could hate another human being, considering what he did, at having to make a life or death decision. He said it was something she just couldn't do. So she listened to the recommendations that the prosecutor made to her, and they followed it.
Jen, thank you. We'll check back in with you in a little bit.
Count on Channel 4 to bring you continuing coverage of Jared Harrell's guilty plea. We'll have more live reports from 5:30. At 5:30, we'll hear from Summer Thompson's grandparents. We'll take a look at the community's unwavering support for the Thompson family. And at 6 o'clock, we will hear more from Summer's twin, Samuel. Also, we have dedicated an entire section on news4jax.com to this case. Just click on the Justice for Summer banner at the top of the homepage. From Washington today came word of a bright spot in the U.S. economy.
More Americans getting jobs. Who the Labor Department says is hiring. A controversial decision reversed. The Susan G. Komen Foundation has decided it will continue providing funds to Planned Parenthood. We're getting local reaction from both groups.
Get your hour-by-hour forecast from the Weather Authority to help plan your day, only on Channel 4.
All right, folks, again, just talking about the details of what we've been seeing here, which has been a lot of clouds and not much more than that. The dry conditions have been out there, but tonight we actually have some sprinkles. Just a reminder of how little we've had, just 1/10 of an inch of rain last month. And again, as dry as January's get in the Jacksonville area. Now, this evening, if you have plans to be out and about, you might need a little bit of an umbrella out there because we have seen a few sprinkles, but those sprinkles, again, not all that much. Dry down south, they've had record dryness there, but the rains have been out in the western panhandle, and that's what we're going to watch for the next couple of days. It's the weekend. You don't want to hear about rain, but this time we would like to see a little bit of around the area. Satellite and radar showing the gray skies around town. Temperatures have cooled a little bit. We actually were in the mid-70s at one point. Those temperatures coming down here pretty dramatically over the last 3 hours. Not like 20-degree drop, but it's enough that you'll need a jacket if you're going to be out and about here tonight, as again, the coolness of an easterly breeze will continue to give us the clouds, not just this evening, but right on through tomorrow morning. Early morning temperatures way above normal, but just on the edge if you're going to be out and about to have that jacket. 70 degrees by the lunch hour. Look, a little blue sky action in the afternoon hours will pop these temperatures. Daytime temperatures tomorrow will get right there near 80 degrees, especially just to the west of town. Will be in the mid-70s there. Downtown too, close to the beach. If you're going to be at the beach tomorrow, there will be some sunshine, but the daytime temperature is held down. And 8 on the Gone gauge, some evening sprinkles. Have had a few emails, a couple of Facebook reminders that a few sprinkles have been out there. And again, tonight we'll be watching those sprinkles out there, but tomorrow, this is Saturday now, nice start. Warm temperatures, mid-70s in the afternoon hours. There still could be a possible shower, not just tomorrow, but right on through Sunday. Daytime temperatures, again, the big story, Tom and Mary will touch 80 and wait upon bigger rains next week.
Thank you, John. Never mind.
That's what a breast cancer foundation is now saying about its decision to stop funding breast exams by Planned Parenthood. What local leaders of both groups are saying. Next.
First, though, here's Rob in the Channel 4 newsroom with what's coming up at 5:30. Rob?
Well, Mary, here's what we're working on. A back courtroom as Jared Harrell pleads guilty to the murder of Summer Thompson. What Summer's grandparents said to the convicted killer. And the Republican presidential primary heads west. What the candidates are expecting tomorrow when voters head to the polls in Nevada. We'll take you to Las Vegas. And he's a service dog at your service. Why this miniature schnauzer is being credited with saving his owner's life after she took a bad fall. Join us for the details coming up in about 7 minutes.
The Pink Ribbon people make a U-turn.
The breast cancer advocacy group Susan G. Komen for the Cure has reversed its decision to cut funding to Planned Parenthood in the face of a huge outcry. Channel 4's Vicki Pierre has been following this controversy since it began, and she spoke today with local officials of both groups.
It became politics and was never intended to be, never wanted it to be politics.
Bruce Grobe with the North Florida Susan G. Komen Foundation says he's relieved. He says this week's been a roller coaster, with the Susan G. Komen Foundation announcing they would no longer fund breast screenings through Planned Parenthood because the group is under investigation. But the decision unleashed a massive firestorm of responses on social media and in the community, many threatening to pull support from the foundation. He says now they've changed its policy.
So I'm hoping that the fact that National did change its mind will bring those folks back.
I think we're all still a little shocked, but really, really pleased and honored that Komen would take the time.
Stacey Fox works with Planned Parenthood of North Florida. She says locally the group didn't get funded by Komen. She says she's surprised by how quickly the foundation reversed its decision, but she isn't surprised donors were so quick to raise $650,000 to fund the screenings.
So I think we're all still a little shocked, but really, really pleased and honored that Komen would take the time to listen to their supporters and rethink their decision.
Some say they aren't happy Komen reversed that decision.
And apparently Komen just backed down under that pressure. I mean, that's sad and regrettable, but that's who Planned Parenthood is.
But both Planned Parenthood and Komen say they want to move forward and continue to focus on helping their clients. Vicki Pierre, Channel 4, the local station.
243,000 people in the same happy boat.
They recently got jobs. How their hiring showed up in the new unemployment numbers next.
It may offer a little new hope to those who are trying to find a job right now. For the 5th month in a row, the nation's unemployment dropped. American employers added 243,000 jobs last month, about 100,000 more than analysts were predicting. The January jobless rate fell to 8.3% from 8.5% in December. So who has been doing the hiring? According to the Labor Department, private businesses have been adding jobs on a consistent basis since March of 2010. However, experts can see there is still a long way to go before the economy and unemployment recover from the 2008 financial crisis. We are hearing reports of a missing 6-year-old girl in Mandarin. Details as the news continues with Robin Merritt.